It's 5 o'clock and you're off the Clock Beast Guy. And today we have as our guest the Arkansas State Police SWAT Commander Chad Staley. Now listen, everybody has seen SWAT on TV. How realistic is it? We don't really know. But I do know one thing. We're going to find out today. He's going to tell us all about the training, what they do when they get a call, the kind of equipment they use. I mean, he's going to go into detail about what kind of situations and what the SWAT is meant for. So guys, stay tuned. We're about to unravel it. So Chad, tell me how you got into law enforcement and how you got to where you are today. Because right now you're the commander of SWAT.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty high role, I'd assume. How did you, is that where you shot for it from the very beginning, or did you kind of just work your way into that?
No, honestly, when I started law enforcement, my plan was just to stay on highway patrol with the state police, retire and be happy, and then just things happen. When I went through my troop school in 1998, the SWAT guys came and did our firearms training, and I'm like, man, I want to be like that guy right there. And so that's kind of what got me involved or wanting to be a SWAT team member.
Was the law enforcement side of things where you knew you were going to end up, where you wanted to be from the get-go, like when you were a kid? No,
I wouldn't say that. My wife and I were going to college together, and at just some point, that's just what I decided. I thought I wanted to go be a federal agent, and then I had a buddy that went to the Border Patrol, and I'm like, man, like we were very close. And I'm like, golly, this hurts, man. He's not here. Yeah. So it'd be like, this is going to really hurt me if I leave everybody. So I decided to stay local, worked for the sheriff's office for a few years, and then got hired with the state police. Heck yeah, dude. So how far from that point did you get to be in the SWAT? And how did you start out? So after troop school, there's a 3-year wait period to be a tryout for SWAT. And so I waited my 3 years, tried out, and I made the team, which was 2001. What kind of requirements do you have to be like on the SWAT team? I imagine it's probably pretty. Yeah, obviously physical fitness is a big thing. Like firearms, like you have to be very, very proficient with firearms, and that's kind of to get you started. But one of the big things that we look at for a team member, those are obvious, but is how can this guy get along with the team? Is it about him or is it about the team? Because if it's about him, it doesn't work out. Yeah. Right. So we're very picky on the selection process, and that's like a really big deal. There's that, and then most of us are married, and like one of the questions we'll ask them in the interview process is, what does your wife think about this? Really? And if she's not all in, we won't accept them. Really? It won't work. So you take like a team, like team's the number one thing, right? It's all or none. It's kind of deal. The team, yep. And then every once in a while, somebody might have the right words to say, and then they're not a team member, and that doesn't work out. It has to be about the team. Guys, if you made it this far, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It helps us out tremendously, and it helps us push to get more things in the gear shop, more content up. And if you like something or you want us to do something, drop a comment down below. All right, we'll get back into it.
How do you deal with that when it's after the fact and they're already signed up and in the field?
As the commander, there's probably already been conversations that's gone on before I've had the conversation. Yeah. Like, hey, this isn't what we're wanting for a team member. If you want to be a part of this team, you need to change your mindset. Gotcha. And if that doesn't work, then they're not going to stay on the team.
So just a really short leash.
But yeah, that's very, very, very rare because our selection process is so physical and rigorous, and it's oriented, really thorough. It is, and it's oriented around a team mentality that probably more than likely, if you don't have that team mentality, it's probably going to come out during the trial process more than likely.
Kind of weeds themselves out in the process.
Yeah, you'll see things. You'll just see that.
And you're like, I don't know about him.
Yeah.
So being a team, set, when y'all do your training, like say you're not on a call, you're not going out on a mission or whatever it may be, what kind of training does a team go through?
So just the training in general?
Yeah, is it more like team training or is it individual focused?
Well, when we're with a team, it's team training. And then when you're not with a team, then you have to focus on your individual skills. But yeah, anytime we train, it's always team related. We just train for what the majority of the calls that we would go on, because there's different types of calls we'd go on. We train for that. The scenario-based training, firearms training. And then with the state police, we have so much equipment and gear that we'll also have to have just specialized training on that gear throughout the year.
I didn't even think about that, because as new technology comes out, obviously y'all have to be trained up.
Yeah, even if it's not new technology, some of the things that we do and train with, the gear requires a lot of repetitions. And when you need it, you want to be very familiar with it and, not have to really think about it.
Sure.
But, a lot of that gear you just have to get a lot of reps on. Yeah. And if you don't, then you're going to get to call them like, what do we do here?
Yeah, and that's never good. No, especially when you throw uncontrollable variables like, bad guys in there. It's like, you need to have it all together.
Yeah, definitely.
So you talked about training for like what you see most. What is it that you think the situation y'all get called out for the most is?
I would, generally speaking, the call that we get the most of would be police officers been shot at, either shot at, or they may have like a murder suspect barricaded in a house. But generally speaking, it'll be something bad has happened and the suspect's barricaded with weapons and they say they're not coming out.
So y'all do a lot of breaching?
We do a lot of breaching. Yep. A lot of breaching. Do you seem like it's more of that nowadays, or maybe the game has kind of shifted and the things y'all are dealing with now is a little bit different than what it has been? Yeah, that's definitely true. When I first got on the team, things would happen and there was obviously, we were there for violent suspects, but I've seen over the last 6 or 7 years that they become a lot more violent and a lot more willing to fight. Why is that? Honestly, my opinion is we have a culture of it's all about me. You think so? That's just how I feel about it. It's all about me. I mean, if you think about, like for me, when I grew up, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have all this information pouring in on us. And I think that factors in. But I really feel like that a lot of people, it's just about me and I don't care about nothing else. So selfishness, kind of just Definitely selfishness, for sure. And it's just a more violent society than it was. When I was growing up, we didn't have wars. And since then, we've been involved in a few different things. And with that, just the society's just becomes more violent, in my opinion. So do you think it's, social media? I mean, obviously, I think social media has a big impact in it because everybody sees what they, are interested in or whatever, and to say it's fighting or violence, whatever, and they think it's cool. Or it's video games. To it. You become used to it, and it just isn't, just desensitization is what I feel. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah, you see it all the time, so it's not such a big deal. It's not a big deal anymore. It makes it easier. Yeah. Makes it a lot easier. Are y'all having to go out on more calls that are like this, or are they just getting more violent, the ones that you're going on? No, I would say they're just more violent, the ones that we're going on. Really? Yeah. So do y'all go out multiple times in a week? I mean, what area exactly are y'all on call for? So we're on call for the whole state. So generally speaking, there's a lot of smaller departments that have SWAT teams. Right. And then if they run into that guy that's barricaded and armed, they may not have the equipment and the assets that we have. So generally speaking, that's what we'll get called for. And when y'all get the call, do y'all hop in we've all seen the show SWAT, right? And that's what... And that's what I was talking about earlier. It's like, I know, how realistic is the show SWAT compared to what you guys do? I don't watch it. I don't know. The few episodes I saw, I'm like, I'm not watching it. It's super dramatic. You know how it is. Yeah, no. Well, for us, it's a lot different anyways, being in the state. So, right now there's 26 of us, and we're spread out all over the state. So when we get a call, it's probably going to be 3 hours before we're operational. Really? Okay. Yeah, and generally speaking, the call's been going on for a few hours before we even get the call, and it just takes us a while to get there. So it's not like you're all kind of dispersed all throughout Arkansas. And whenever the call comes in, it's obviously something super important or dangerous or violent or whatever, and then y'all kind of just all come together. Yes, that's right. And then with us, when we get those calls, we have other assets that roll with us. So, right. We'll have a crisis negotiation team. We'll have
and the negotiation team, kind of walk us through a little bit what they do.
So, well, they're all state troopers, but they're a completely different group than us. So while we're focusing on the tactical, how are we going to settle this? They're going to be on the phone talking to the suspect, trying to reason with them. They'll be getting information from family members. Just any information they can give to help us.
Y'all are kind of working both angles. Like y'all are looking more into the physical. How do we physically get in here and take care of it?
If things get bad and we have to go in for whatever reason, either they're hurting people or we just use everything we can use and they're not coming out, we got to go in. They're still working and trying to figure out, hey, can we get this person out, or do we let the family talk to them? That I really don't get in the negotiations part, but I know they have things that they do and certain ways of doing things.
Right.
And they do everything they can to keep it to just to be a not a violent outcome.
Right. Kind of just peaceful. They just give up, walk out, that kind of deal.
How long is that process usually where you've thrown everything out at them and it gets to that point where you have to move on it?
They've probably already started negotiating before we even got there.
Right.
Because there's negotiators all over the state as well. So
right.
Before the whole team's gotten there, there's people, if there's any communication with the suspect, more than likely one of our state police negotiators are talking to them. So there's that, and then there's other things that we do that we're going to do tactically before we go in to the residents. And I really can't get into a whole lot of that, but we just don't go busting in on the door and going in after them.
As an average, would it be like 12 hours, 24 hours? How long?
Yeah,
how long are we talking?
I would say, generally speaking, a lot of the calls happen early in the evening. Let's just say 7 or 8 o'clock.
Gotcha.
We might get the call at 10 o'clock. So it takes us 3 hours to get there to get set up. So you're talking anywhere, it could 8, 10, 12 hours for the whole call.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not just us being on scene.
Right. Gotcha.
So with you guys showing up, negotiators there showing up, that kind of stuff, armored vehicles. Do y'all roll up in armored vehicles?
Oh, yeah.
Or
Definitely.
Is that a different branch that brings those and y'all get
us.
in?
Yeah, we bring in our armored vehicles. We've got 3 of them. We've got 2 Bearcats, which if you've seen any critical incidents on TV where there's armored vehicles, generally speaking, those are Bearcats.
No, that's kind of like the jacked up van looking one that just has a bunch of guys in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we've got 2 of those, and then we've got a Bear, which makes those look like little itsy bitsy cars.
Those things are sweet, dude.
Yeah, the Bear, it's so big. It's hard to use because if you've got trees in the yard or hard to get to places, it's just very difficult to use that.
What are some of these missions you were telling us about? Like you said there's a few different departments around the state that have SWAT teams that are smaller. What can they handle without you guys?
Well, it'd be kind of hard for me to speak to that, but I would guess, each one's going to be different, but I would think most of them would do warrant services.
Okay, gotcha.
And if somebody's holed up in a house, but I don't know, I don't really know what.
I would imagine y'all probably get called anytime there's a hostage situation.
I would say, generally speaking, unless it's like a big department, more than likely we would get called on that. Yes, if a state police is involved in it, we'll get called. Yeah.
In those situations, are they holding hostages in there because they don't want to go to jail? They don't necessarily. There's no way out kind of deal, so they're just hold somebody in there just trying to buy some time.
It's kind of hard to get into their thought process, but I'll say a lot. I say a lot. I've seen times where it's family related.
Really?
Yeah, and so I don't know why they do what they do, obviously, but generally speaking, we will get the innocent people out. They may, or it may even be we get a call for a hostage, and it's not a hostage; it's a barricade that still has family members in there.
And,
and
they would be considered a hostage at that point because they're stuck in there. It just
depends on who called it in, what department, and a lot of times a hostage ended up being a barricade. All the innocent people come out, and now
so things can happen technically while y'all are on the way over there. I would assume. So is there somebody that's like updating y'all like play by play, kind of what's happening so that y'all are super informed?
Generally speaking, there will be a troop commander or a CID commander, which CIDs are detectives. And if there's something significant happen, they'll call me on the phone or they'll call my major and he'll call me. But yeah, if there's something significant, I'll usually know about it before. And a lot of times, there's been several times we get a call, hey, this is happening. We get it on the way, and then, hey, he came and gave up. Hey, that's great. Yeah. So that happens. That happens some too.
That's good. I bet. I mean, is that just a weight of the world off your shoulders when you?
Yeah. I don't know that everybody would admit that, but for sure.
Yeah. You never know what you're gonna walk in on.
Uh-huh. I mean, I just have to assume when we go it's going to be bad.
Right.
Hope it's not, but I have to assume that it's going to be bad.
Just kind of expect worst case scenario.
You have to. That's the only way.
Because I mean,
for sure.
It just dawned on me, like, every time that y'all go out, it's a pretty violent, bad situation. Yes. So, like, y'all have to be set on the worst for when you get there.
Yeah,
you
for
never
sure.
know.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha.
So, when it comes to y'all's SWAT team, is there like a bomb guy? Is there any kind of...
So we've got a bomb team that goes with us.
Okay.
For like if there's information that there's some type of explosive in there, but this isn't the same, but we have a group of guys on the team that are explosive breachers. So they deal with, explosives all the time.
Gotcha.
So they're putting, like example, they'd put explosives on the door to blow the door?
Generally speaking, the door could be a wall, could be a couple of different things at the same time, but generally speaking, it's a door.
So going off of that, do y'all kind of make everybody good at everything, or is it pretty individual specializations?
Yeah, we pretty much all train in the same thing, but there's going to be guys that we're going to be like, okay, you're the go-to guy for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Explosive breaching.
How many different categories do you have to have a guy for?
So
like you said, bomb specialists.
We've got shield guys.
Okay.
Explosive breachers, snipers, guys that pretty much specialize in deploying gas.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
we've got some other technology that we use, certain cameras. Mm-hmm. So we'll have guys that know how to operate those as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
So since there's basically like a sniper, is what I'm kind of getting hung up on, is would you position a sniper off of maybe where the team's gathering or getting ready to go in? Would a sniper be off of it, just overlooking it, or would he sometimes be with the team?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of times, so we try to meet up in a group, but depending on the call, we may have to send snipers out to kind of keep an eye on the place, or a QRF group out. Like if it's a hostage, then the first 2 or 3 of us, 4 of us that are there, they go straight to the scene and get close to it just in case something bad happens. Yeah. It just depends. It depends a lot on the call. If we can, like we may be training, like let's say we're training today, we get a call out. Well, we can all go to the command post or wherever we're going to meet at, and we can get the game plan right there, which we probably already got before we got there anyways, because we're talking on the phone. We meet, this is what the team assignments are, go. And so then it would be like everybody's, moving into position at the same time. Snipers would definitely be first, because they're going to be watching things for us. But
that makes sense.
It just depends on the call. And,
everything changes.
Yeah, there's not like a cookie cutter. There are SOPs that we go by, standard operating procedures that we go by, but for different calls. But even with that, sometimes those change, just depending on what we're dealing with.
And speaking of change too, and I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Like, I know every house is different, got different layouts on the inside. Could be a building here or a house there. Do y'all have any way of kind of getting the layout of the house before you plan to breach, or is it?
There's some technology now that we're starting to look into, but I'll just be honest, a lot of times, so-and-so's been in that house before, and they give us the layout. It's nothing like it. So I don't honestly, I don't even look at it, because one thing we do in training is that I would say maybe a little different than some teams is that we try to use different places all the time to train. Yeah. And that's the one good thing about being, that works for the state police. We've got places across the state that we can look at and train in. That way we're not, we're used to going into a place that we're not used to.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, when we get layouts, if it's somebody like pencil it in, I'm like,
I don't know about that.
yeah, I don't even, honestly, for good or worse, I don't look at it because it's like, too many times it's
focus.
not right.
Yeah, focus on something else.
And you don't want to rely on that and then get yourself in a...
It's just not right usually. Usually it's not right. So.
What was you saying, Jake?
Well, I guess I was going off of that. I was going to kind of ask how hard it is, you being the team leader, to get a call and it be a different environment every single time. How hard is it for you to kind of send the right people? And is there like a standard, format that you go by, or is it just different for each and every scenario?
Well, as far as the personnel we use, we've got we're going to use the guys with most experience, with the most knowledge, with the, I wouldn't say most ability, because even the young guys have a lot of ability now. They're just that good.
Just more about experience.
We're going to go with the experience, and so we've kind of got that core group. But I mean, that changes. That's not always going to be the same. But everybody knows who's going to go in there after that bad guy. If he's not coming out, and we got to go in, everybody knows, okay, it's going to be this group. But if he does come out, and we're very certain that there's no one else in there, depending on how much training the young guys have had, once they've had about a year or so, we'll let them get in there with the guys and get some experience.
Gotcha.
So as far as getting experience goes, you mentioning that. So is it only calls that y'all go to, or maybe like an event where they call you in and say, hey, we might need some extra security or something? Do y'all do things like that too?
Yeah, we definitely do that too. Yeah.
Like what kind of events would you see a SWAT team out there just being extra security for?
Like when the governor took office, we were part of that. Not the same, but sometimes like if they've got a big warrant service roundup, like the FBI or the DEA or something like that, they'll call us in to, if they're taking down 15 targets at the same time.
Just to be in the area on call kind of deal?
We'll have an assignment. That way, like if they're trying to take it down all at the same time, that way there's not phone calls, hey, they're coming.
Right.
We get involved in that too. Sometimes we just send our armor, like maybe one of the federal departments or local say, hey, we're going to go serve this warrant. We really would just like some armor. Can you send some armor? So we'll send a couple of guys to drive the armor.
Gotcha.
So we have that happens frequently as well.
Is there ever a time that y'all have to split up? Like you get two calls at once?
It's usually not a call. It might be the warrant services. Like when there's a federal warrant service roundup, we usually split the group into 2 or 3 teams to take more houses, more targets down. But,
gotcha. But never like a urgent 2 calls at once.
I think maybe that might have happened one time since I've been on the team.
Gotcha.
But it's not like
there's not a good likelihood of it.
Yeah,
not very much at all.
Gotcha.
Man, I tell you what, it definitely sounds like it's a little bit different from the SWAT TV show, because them guys seem like they're in it every 5 minutes. Does it not feel like that?
I couldn't tell you.
I mean, how many missions calls do you think you guys go on a year?
We had a busy year last year, so we had 22 calls last year. It varies. The year before that, we didn't have hardly any at all. So it kind of seems to me the more calls we get, the more people will remember, oh, the state police has a SWAT team. Let's call them.
That's true.
Okay. I got you. So do you see it kind of come in waves, would you say, more than just an average, like say one every 2 weeks or something like that?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that too. And last year was kind of a hard year financially for people too.
Yeah.
And I think, financial like problems lead to, more crimes, I would say.
I think you're probably right.
So, I mean, I would expect that the harder it is to make money and the harder it is to, get the groceries you need to make it more appealing to steal, more appealing to,
lose
break
your
the law.
mind. Yeah, lose your cool.
And I think that you're 100% right. I think that people are kind of getting brainwashed by the violence and the crimes they see everywhere on the news, social media. It's getting where it's like, oh, ain't no big deal.
Yeah.
Ain't no big deal in people's minds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Scary thing.
It's like a new generation thing.
It is.
And it's been going on for a while, ever since, technology started advancing. I've just kind of, that's just my opinion, but that's just something that I've kind of noticed. Like it just gets easier in their mind. They see it so much, they just get accustomed to it.
Absolutely.
And I know this might not be something you want to talk about or not, but so like the Trump's attempted assassination, you know, everybody under the sun was talking about the security there, talking about how to get on the roof, what was the snipers doing on the roof. I mean, what is your take on that?
I don't know why that roof wasn't occupied.
Would that not?
No, I don't.
Even
understand.
if somebody that's not trained,
I don't understand.
why would there not be somebody at least watching that roof?
I don't know. That, you know, I wasn't there, but that's obviously a mistake.
I mean, from a security standpoint, I'd say that was a failure. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
I mean, like, I would imagine that when you're going into planning an event like that, that would definitely be one of the potential places you would want to have locked down.
Well, that was way too close.
It was, yeah.
Way too close.
It's horrible.
I
mean,
agree.
And so are you, being the SWAT commander, are y'all, anytime there's events or just any of these cities, because it seems like crime levels are higher in the cities, obviously, there's more people.
Yeah.
So statistically speaking, they're going to be higher. Right. Well, is there certain places, like where their event be, where like the SWAT team would come in and maybe say, okay, we need to look at this building, we need to do this, we need to do that, or is that somebody else that does that?
So generally speaking, on our calls, it's going to be more rural counties. And even for events, like we're just, you know, like let's just say something happened in Little Rock,
right.
Then Little Rock SWAT is going to handle that. And if they need some help, they'll call us. But generally speaking, like we don't really do a whole lot of big events.
Right.
We may now, you know, with the way things have been going politically, you know, I could see us being a little bit more involved in some of that.
Yeah.
But and generally speaking, in the past, you know, wherever the city was at would usually handle that type of thing. Like I said, we did go to the inauguration, so yeah, we had guys on the roofs and we had drones up and things like that.
Oh, cool.
It's crazy. It's crazy. To me, it's like maybe I just didn't notice or I wasn't old enough to pay attention. But it's like I don't remember there being so many radical people doing things like this. Like you even have to watch out for it.
I don't think there was. I think it's kind of something that we haven't seen before. And
are they trying to do it for fame? Are they doing it for?
Again,
it's crazy.
Just I don't know.
I'll tell you, we need to get somebody in here that might know how to answer the.
I guess you'd have to
psychologist.
Yeah, I know that'd be kind of.
I don't know if you'd want one of them.
We might need you guys standing over there in the corner.
Ask me, you mind coming back and watching this guy?
Yeah, no kidding. Well, Chad, I mean, really, what's cool about it to me is like I vision the SWAT team as like highly trained, like SEAL Team 6 of law enforcement.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but
that's the way I see it, though. Compared to, you know, just your standard police officers, and you see the SWAT team, these guys are...
We definitely get a lot more training than a normal police officer would, for sure.
And,
That's a big part of what we do.
And situations call for it, though.
Yeah.
Because you never know what situation you might be in.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's a normal day look like for you guys without getting a call? Like, so are you training every single day, or you just?
Yeah. So there's a lot of logistics behind what we do. So if we're not on call and we're not training, then we're doing some logistic stuff. Like we've got a big training event coming up in April with Oklahoma State Police.
Okay. We've
kind of befriended each other and we're working with each other and training with each other. So. Some of us are going, and we're doing that at Fort Chaffee in April. So several of us tomorrow are going to drive out to Fort Chaffee, look at the different ranges and get things set up. So that way, you know, the day of training, everything's already done, especially being across the state like that.
Yeah.
You know, we do a lot of that. Just anything behind the scenes, you know, there's a couple of days a week that we're taking care of that. Other than that, if we're not on a call, then we're training.
Gotcha.
Like
so
Thursday night, I don't know how cold it's going to be. We're going to be at the range training.
Gotcha. So
it's going to be cold.
It's going to be cold.
How do you kind of, how does y'all's like actual be in wherever y'all are located? How does that schedule kind of work?
As far as like a day to day?
Yes. Like, I mean, is it get in at 8 every day?
No, we usually set the week up. We'll set the week up the week prior, or maybe even just depending on what's going on. Like again, in April, it's such a big deal. We're not going to wait till a week before.
Right.
You know, we're starting to get stuff ready starting tomorrow. But Yeah, if there's not a lot going on, the week in advance, we'll have the week planned out on what we're going to do.
Gotcha.
And again, it's going to be heavy on training if unless there's a warrant service or something like that.
And with y'all being kind of dispersed around Arkansas, do y'all meet in one place to train? Or do y'all just kind of group up in different areas?
Yeah, when we train, it'll all be together. We all train together. And then every once in a while, there'll be somebody having to do some specialized training off somewhere else. But generally speaking, it's always going to be together.
What as a team it needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, I played team sports my whole life, baseball, football. And it's like when the team's together and plays good together, they're unstoppable.
Well, and that's the one thing that I think if you'd ask any one of us, what we enjoy the most, it's the team, the camaraderie, the closeness,
It's like a brotherhood.
It's definitely a brotherhood for sure. I mean, we go, there's lots of great times together. And then anytime you're going into harm's way with someone else, you're going to be forming some pretty special bonds there.
For sure.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. Because y'all are all risking the same thing together.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So I'm a little curious on this Thursday night cold weather training. What's that going to look like? Can you speak on that?
Yeah. So we're going to go, anytime we train at night, we're going to work with white lights, flashlights, but we're going to go really heavy with our night vision training.
Gotcha.
So that's mainly what we'll be doing on Thursday night. We'll meet Thursday during the day, do some day drills, and then we'll just train into the evening.
Gotcha.
So what kind of technology, talking about night vision, what kind of technology do y'all rely on, a lot on these missions? Either it be breaching stuff, or it be the gun or rifle y'all use? Like, what's standardized? Like, what's y'all's gear y'all roll in with?
Yes.
All of it.
Everything. So, obviously, we got body armor helmets, night vision goggles, rifles, pistols. That's all gear that we keep in our vehicles with us at all times in case, we're right there when something happens. The explosive breaching, it stays on a truck. Most of that stays on a truck. And then, so we'll have our armored vehicles that roll out, and then we've got an equipment truck that rolls out with us. We've got shields that we use a lot.
These are full body shields that stand behind?
I say they're, not full. They'll cover your head to about your waist.
I got you.
So that, obviously the armored vehicles, I mean, just, standard gear that you think a SWAT team would
What caliber
run.
rifle do y'all run?
223.
223?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So.
Yeah, I tell you what, them 223s are something else. Hog hunting?
Yeah.
You down here, there's so many hogs. Golly. I mean, you can't kill enough of them.
Yeah.
But we run 223s when we hog hunt. And, you can run like night vision or thermal scope or whatever whenever you're hog hunting.
Yeah.
And that's crazy technology.
Yeah, we'd actually looked at some thermal, like it's called a clip-on that would go on our night vision goggles. But when we looked through the thermal, and I really don't know that much about it. Y'all probably know more about it than I do. But we noticed when someone was carrying like a rifle, you could see like the barrel, but you couldn't really necessarily see what was in front of him on his torso. Like a pistol, you may not even be able to see it. So we're like,
because it kind of blend in with the mass
what
heat.
we were looking at did. Now, I mean, we do use thermal for different reasons,
right?
But it, as far as like wearing them on our helmets with night vision goggles, we opted not to do that just because of we didn't want there to be any confusion, no delay, and all right, that's a gun.
Yeah.
For sure.
What about drones?
Yeah.
Y'all use drones?
We do use drones, and if the guys watch this, I'm sorry, drone team, I forgot. they deploy with us too. So
hey, drones are the technology in drones now is crazy.
We use a lot of drones. Yeah, we use them on every call.
When would you say they came in to be in every call type of team? How long ago was that, would you say?
I'm guessing my timetable's not exactly right, but I'm guessing 4 or 5 years ago,
really?
Maybe something like that.
Even that recent? Huh?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, we haven't used them forever, and we probably did use them before that, but I know like 4 or 5 years, we've been using them on a lot of different things.
And they're just surveying and kind of looking. Are they?
They do that, so they'll go out before we go and kind of wherever the structure is, the house or whatever, kind of give us an overall view of it, and then we've actually used them in some pretty violent encounters we've been involved in. Like the drone will go in and kind of like all right, this is where the guy's at. And then,
Oh, really?
Yeah, more than if it's a violent event, they're shooting the drone.
Are they?
That's happened several
Are they
times.
ever? Is it used just for like surveillance, or can you like deploy gas or
so
flashbang? I don't know.
There's a new one that I don't know if they've got it yet, but that they can break glass. But as far as like deploying bangs and gas, there may be that technology, but we don't have that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I know that like the thermal drone stuff that I'm seeing nowadays, a lot of people are hog hunting with them or doing whatever they're doing with them. But it's crazy that you can get so high up and see any little bit of life that's there.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of time it would save for you to like find somebody or they're on the run or whatever. It's just
we've used that before too when our helicopter, just a suspect that was out in the woods, armed, and the helicopter crew with the thermal led the team into them. That was probably 10 years ago.
So y'all were on the radio or on the phone with the helicopter guy, and he just kind of steers y'all in?
Yeah, we was on the radio with him. Yeah, but with the helicopter, that's kind of like, you got to be careful with the helicopter too, because if they're too low, you can't hear each other talk, or you can't hear somebody walking. So, there's kind of some fine lines there. I
imagine they got to get out in the way, kind of.
Yeah, they usually get up pretty high, but those cameras are so awesome. Like, they can really zoom in.
It's crazy.
Nice.
I'll see some of the stuff that, civilians are able to buy nowadays, and I'm like, there's no telling what the military, what the, crazy technology they have is capable of doing if we have thermal drones.
Right, definitely.
Like, what is out there?
Yeah, that we don't know about.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
For sure.
It is.
For sure.
I mean, and has the technology made it easier, you think, for you guys to do your job?
Oh, for sure.
Over the last 10 years? I mean,
yeah.
Is it...
And when you're talking technology, even as far as like when I got on the team, we didn't have armored vehicles. I mean, I wouldn't imagine it now. Like, well, how? I mean, and there's sometimes we can't use armored vehicles depending on where we're at.
Have you ever had your armored vehicle like actually shot?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple of times.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy to think about.
Is there anything you could mention on that? Obviously, you don't got to go into great detail. Just kind of maybe a situation in which that happened.
I'll just say that another department was getting shot at like heavily, like a couple of 100 rounds at them. They called us in, and sure enough, he started shooting at us too.
Yeah.
And we deployed drones on that one, and that was just one of those people that, we were talking about earlier, that just
didn't care about anything but himself.
Nothing matters.
Didn't care.
How often is it groups of people that you're dealing with versus just a solo?
No, I sure hate to say never, because we usually it's just one suspect for us, but I would say almost always. Obviously, there's going to be a few times where there's a couple, but not like groups or anything, other than a big warrant service. But then, they're spread out across the town or the city that we're in.
Right. You never go in and catch them all at one spot at one time type of deal? Like you see in the movies?
We've done something like that before. I'll tell you this one because it doesn't really matter. It was actually a chicken fighting operation.
Yeah.
A chicken fight.
That surprised me.
That was surprising.
That's how you find them all in one place right there.
That's how we did it.
Really?
We took the whole group down. So I don't mind talking about that one.
That is wild. I bet y'all do encounter some things sometimes that
I was
are just
about
funny.
to say,
ironic. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's usually like, what are people thinking?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, is that your only chicken fighting compound you ever ran up on?
Yeah.
I mean, like fighting dogs. I mean, it's crazy what people do with their spare time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess there's money to be made. Somebody's going to try to make it.
I guess.
No matter what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, and we're like, what?
That's
what
bizarre.
Are we doing here?
Y'all ever get on calls and then all of a sudden it just dissolves? Like, oh, it wasn't what we thought it was?
Oh, yeah. I say, yeah. Yeah, that's happened. Generally speaking, like for us, it's a pretty extensive process to get us called out to begin with. There's going to be several people involved in the decision. So a lot of the time it's going to be like, well, is this call, is it worth the assets that we're sending, the time and money? And then every once in a while, and usually the answer is yes. If we go, the answer is usually yes. And then there's been a few. I remember I rolled up on one. I'm like, that does not sound like that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the guy comes, I didn't even know y'all were here.
Yeah.
And
Really?
then the story that we were told that got us there wasn't what happened. So
every once in a while, somebody might, get ahead of themselves and.
Not very often at all. Because again, like before it even comes to me, there's going to be 3 or 4 people involved in the state police that, hey, is this something we need to send the SWAT team on?
How often is it like you get a call and you know right from the get-go, like, okay, this isn't anything, but we've got to go. Like
that doesn't happen.
I'm thinking of, I was in middle school and some kid wrote bomb on the bathroom wall and we evacuated the school, brought the SWAT team in, the whole deal. But there's not a very high risk of that, something like that actually happening.
Yeah, I mean, locally, I would assume that happens, more often than.
But for it to
not.
get to y'all, it'd have to be pretty serious.
It's got to be pretty vetted.
Gotcha.
It's almost.
And it's one of those deals too. It's like you never know though, because if they don't call you and somebody ends up dead, or it costs somebody's life, it's
well, and it
would have been worth sending them.
We've always said, like, there's been calls where the dude gives up and whatever, and then the commander there's like, we're so sorry. I'm like, dude, we're glad to be here.
Yeah.
Like, we'd rather be here and nothing happen than somebody we not be here and then somebody gets shot and hurt.
Better be
worse.
safe than sorry.
Yeah,
especially when you're dealing with people's lives.
And I guess the closest thing to answer that question would be like, we got an active shooter. Well, my idea of an active shooter and somebody else's idea of an active shooter is completely 2 different things. And their idea of an active shooter may be, well, they fired off 2 or 3 rounds inside the house.
Yeah.
That's not an active shooter.
And see,
that'd be something that we would go to.
Right.
But my idea of an active shooter is
it's actively shooting.
Yeah, because we had that happen too, and again in high school where some teacher saw somebody working on the roof and hit the school-wide active shooter emergency. So
yeah.
I was just curious on how many of those like pretty obvious false alarms you deal with.
Well, and I'll say for the state police that happens, just, for the guys that are out there on patrol, assisting the other departments. Yeah, because I know when I worked in Malvern or Hot Spring County, that happened a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we got this going on. Well, all right, I'm headed that way. And then.
Turned out to be nothing.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So here, not too long ago, last year, we had a shooting at the Mad Butcher here in Fordyce. And, he was just running around the parking lot shooting people.
Yeah.
So which I know it got handled, before obviously more, y'all could have came or things like that. But would that have been a situation where, say, it didn't get handled and he was hunkered in the parking lot, or he got back in the building and was just kind of hunkered in shooting? Would you have showed up for that?
Oh, we definitely would have. Yeah, for sure would have came to that. Yeah.
Did you guys get a call on that? Or?
It was over before I even knew about it.
It's kind of quick. Yeah.
How well? I mean, is it pretty often, like pretty significant stuff like that goes down and y'all, I mean, it's bang, bang, and y'all don't even get a chance to come in and deal with it?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say so. I mean, that, obviously that's a terrible thing that happened. Yes. But those things do happen, obviously, but that's not generally speaking. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen very often.
Gotcha.
Okay. Usually the call we're getting is it's already happened. The police has a perimeter on it. Like would have been the same,
right.
if they didn't take care of it as quick as they did, then that would be something. Yeah, we got a security, a perimeter. We need you guys to come in and,
Gotcha.
take care of it.
And I guess I have one more question. As far as y'all getting the call, does it come from the same number? Or do y'all get calls
so that's a good question.
Because I would think if you're just getting random calls and it's not controlled before you would have to then figure out if it's a real caller.
Yeah.
Or, things like that. So I guess the call comes from one number to you.
So, that's a good question. So generally before we get the call, I'll already know about it because my majors contacted me. I've texted the guys, say, hey, guys, we're probably going to roll. So everybody's ready. Because, again, a lot of times it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, they'll know ahead of time. We give guys time to get up, get moving around, get a plan on how we're going to get the vehicles there. Gotcha. And then, so a call comes in on we have kind of like a call alert system. Mm. So if that number's being, if you get a call from this number, that,
this legit.
most of the guys already know anyways, because we got to, with a text and all that, everybody, unless they were asleep, they pretty much already know that, we're rolling on something. Yeah. Every once in a while, one of the guys have to call a guy's wife, hey, wake so-and-so up, we're fixing to roll out.
I imagine. Yeah, I'd probably be that guy if I was.
I'd be that other guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd both be them guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you individually, how do you, when you're in the truck on the way there, how do you kind of prepare yourself, like getting that mindset? Because I'm sure
So that's usually the worst part of it all. Like my mind's going a million different places at once. And then, you're just like, all right, what if? And then honestly, that's usually where all my concerns are at. Every once in a while I can remember being concerned on a call, but usually when you get on the call, there's a lot of tasks and a lot of things to focus on. So, at that point, you got a job to do. So you just got to perform.
For sure.
Each individual has to perform. But generally speaking, the call is the ride up there is usually the worst.
Suspenseful.
Yeah. And then,
that's what I figured.
Because especially when you, as the commander or team leader, you've got all these guys that, you got to try to do the best job you can, make the right decisions to get them back home.
For sure.
And if innocent people, and even the suspect for that matter, obviously, if we can get it to be a nonviolent outcome, that's what we want. But, that's not always the case.
Right.
Do you ever struggle with the responsibility? Like, does it ever, when I say struggle, I don't mean like.
Does it weigh on you?
Yeah, is it ever weigh
it's
on
a
you?
weight. Yeah, it's definitely it's a heavy weight because there's a lot of responsibility there, and it's not just on me. Obviously, it's on all of us as the group. Where even the youngest team member, we're like, hey, I tell them, if you see me messing, this is not the answer in your question, but I'm like, if you see me messing up, you need to tell me, even if it's mundane task at troop training or something. I'm like,
right.
We hold ourselves accountable. I don't care who you are. And I tell them this all the time. We're all on probation, every one of us. So I've been on the team longer than all of y'all. And I'm just, if I get to screwing up and making a bunch of mistakes, and especially, what we'll see is if a guy's been around too long and his head's just not in it anymore, it's obvious. I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want anybody on the team to be that guy, because that's, obviously, I'm not going to say that's what gets people killed, but that's definitely going to, hurt your chances of,
having a successful mission. Yeah.
Right. Do you see like an average age between the guys? Like, is there, for example, is there like a life expectancy of it? Like an NFL player, you're not going to play that long. You know what I mean? What does that age group look like?
Well, I would say the average age of the guy on the team probably be early 30s. And then the assistant team commanders kind of told the guys this, like, we expect everybody to be here. If you're here 10 years, you had a good career.
Yeah.
And, it just depends on the person. Some people are more driven for it. Some people, I had a really close friend that just got off the team. He's got a lot of other responsibilities in the department. Kids are growing up, and he decided it was time for him to move on.
Yeah.
Just each individual is just different, but what we won't accept is half-ass.
Right. Oh, yeah, you can't.
We're not going to accept that. Now, we all make mistakes, and we all have little slumps, and we understand that. But if you're in a slump, you need to get yourself out of it, or let us help you get out of it. And if you can't get out of it, then
do you think a lot of that's mental? Like they're just mentally being a slump?
Oh yeah. A lot of it's family. Some of it's work related. Other than SWAT, it's usually not SWAT related. Some of the guys on the team have two different jobs. Some of us are SWAT, and then some other guys have other duties too.
Right.
So those other duties can weigh heavy on somebody.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Sure.
No, everything adds up. Like mental clarity going into those situations, it's got to be key. And confidence too, I imagine.
Oh yeah, that's a real big deal. And then and then you also have to deal with fatigue, because we're usually operational. Like I said, if we get called at 10 or 11, we're usually operational at 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's usually most of us are sleeping at that point. So
you got to wake up and get ready fast.
Yeah, y'all bump heavy metal or anything like that on the way?
I love heavy metal.
Y'all got a walk-up song?
Yeah, that's what.
What's the walk-up song?
If I don't,
You know, I would imagine we would have a walk-up song.
yeah,
We played AC/DC this morning.
Yeah, like 5 minutes
we
out.
might use
we're hitting play.
AC/DC or Metallica every
Like
once in a while.
Back in
So
Black.
Sandman.
That's sweet. That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
man.
they make fun of me from heavy metal. So
Do they?
yeah,
Hey, you gotta get the mind right.
Yeah.
yeah, there
know
you
what I
go.
mean? Gotta get the
Exactly.
mind right. Well, Chad, it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming today and telling us a little bit, about the SWAT and how it all works. And, a lot more goes into it. People think, you guys are training for this every day. People see the SWAT team roll in and they know that they're trained. They know they're, prepared for the job. But, like, what actually goes into it, it's all kind of behind the curtains. You don't really see that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
And just knowing that y'all put in the all the work and the conditioning and everything to be able to handle the situations that pop up, it makes everybody feel better. Knowing that there's a group of guys that are going to come in and take care of it.
Well, and I'll say this too. We couldn't do it without the support of the state police, our bosses. Like, they really, really support us a lot, and it's been awesome working for them. And then again, I wouldn't be right if I didn't say something about our wives that support us, because
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
that's most important right there.
I'm being serious. Like, without them, it wouldn't work. So, we really appreciate our bosses, and we appreciate our wives supporting what we do.
Which is still your boss. Yeah, let's be honest
Boss
here.
at home.
We
Yeah.
just appreciate our bosses.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I think this wraps this up. Guys,
Awesome.
make sure you leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out our other videos. They're everywhere. Catch you on the next one.